Here we have the Haute42 Cosmox Gaming HotPad C16, and we're going to compare this to the B, the E, the G, the M, the M-Lite, the M+, the M Ultra, the P, the R, the S, the T, the U, the V, and the X series. So let's dive in. And here we have the S family lineup. You have all small buttons across the whole body, one button here on the bottom, and your tighter spacing. The S is acrylic on the top and the bottom. You can change your artwork on the top and the bottom and fully customize the switches, keycaps, and everything you see on this pad. You have your 2 power ports and your 1 pass-through port here on the side, and your compact form factor to take anywhere on the go. Next we have the P with your small buttons across the body and your 1 large on the bottom, your power port on the left, your pass-through port on the right, your tournament lock switch here to turn the home row on and off. This pad is made out of plastic, so it will feel very light and compact. It will have the grip tape pre-installed on the bottom on both sides to grip to your desk, and this fits in your compact category just like the S. Next we have the M-Lite. Your all small buttons across the body, 1 large here on the bottom with your power and pass-through port on the top with a slight sloping edge here on the bottom. This is your premium metal compact pad with metal on the top and the bottom, and it comes in various colors. Next you have your M Ultra, your full-size pad here with all small buttons across the body, your large on the bottom. Your home row here, it sits slightly lower than your S would or your M-Lite would, with your home row across the top, your 2 power ports and your pass-through port here on the top. You have your lights, on and off switch, and your tournament lock switch across the top. This pad being fully metal on the top and the bottom, and a large wrist rest here on the bottom. And your X Series LP edition, it's more of a split layout S. So if I take an S top here and I lay it on top, you can see the buttons essentially line right up, the directionals line right up, and the home row is very similar, with this button being slightly lower on the X. So if you like this style of play and layout, that would be all the pads in the S family. The S, the P, the M-Lite, the M Ultra, and a split version of the S being the X Series LP edition. Next we have our new family, and that would be the C16 layout. So the C still fits in the S category as it has the small buttons across the body, 1 large on the bottom. But what makes this pad a little bit different is the spacing is slightly wider across the whole pad, and your right directional to your up directional is taller than you would find on the S. So I say this is a new spacing category because these pads fit more into the C lineup. So when I take this C artwork and I put it on top of the S, you can see everything is a little bit taller and slightly spread apart compared to the S. And when I put this on the M Ultra, the M-Lite, and the P. When I take the C top and put it on an E in a mirrored fashion, you can see it essentially is the exact same spacing. And when I put this on the R, the up button is slightly higher, but not as high as the S. So if you like this style of play, you'll like the C. The C having the same size keycaps as the S, but slightly wider, given that each keycap has a ring for light to shine through. And making this pad unique is you can play it with the top on, so it feels just like the S, or the top off, and it'll feel just like the R. The R up button here is slightly higher, and you get your left pinky. The rings are slightly wider, with the keycaps being 20mm instead of 23mm, with they're both having the same 25 on the bottom, and the same full-size footprint. And if you want a Southpaw layout, you'd be looking at the E. This taking your C layout, flipping it over, and putting your directionals on the right and your buttons on the left. So if you're looking for a pad with small keycaps across the whole body and 1 large on the bottom, you'd be looking at something in the S or the C family. These two are essentially very much the same, with this just being a little bit taller here and barely wider here, and the keycaps being a little bit wider across the body. But if you're playing on either one of these pads or any of these pads on the table, they're all gonna feel right at home if you're coming from the S or the C. With your C being full size with a metal base, plastic across the whole body, and a push button to change your artwork. The E being full plastic top and bottom with your mirror layout. Then you have your R series with the rings and your left pinky. You have your S with the acrylic body for artwork on the top and the bottom. Your P with your standard 12 button layout, all plastic, lightweight. Your M-Lite, the premium version of your S, your compact premium model. And your M Ultra, your full size premium pad. And the X Series being fully modular with the LP edition or the MX edition and all the different components you can take in and out of this controller. Here we have our T family. We have all large keycaps across the whole body, our wider spacing, a full-size base, 1 power port on the top, and our pass-through port here on the side. When we compare it to our C16, you can see the C is essentially the exact same size as a T or an M+, with the major difference being the button spacing. When I put this on the T, you can see the T, the keycaps are all bigger, the spacing is completely wider, and you have your 2 different layouts. With your T being acrylic on the top and bottom, this is the T Black, so you cannot change the artwork, but on your standard T or your T Pro, it is acrylic on the top and bottom, so you can change your artwork on the top or the bottom, all your switches, all your keycaps on all the different versions of the T. Next would be your V. This is the PlayStation 30th Anniversary Edition. This has your plastic base on the bottom with your acrylic top. You cannot change the artwork on this pad at this time, but you have your large keycaps across the body and your wider spacing with your one power port and your one pass-through port on the top. And when we put our T lid on top, you can see it's the exact same size. Next you have the U. The U and the V are very much the same. They both have a plastic base. This has a thick acrylic top where you cannot change the artwork at the time of this recording. This has a thin acrylic top where you could take this off and put any artwork you like. This pad does come with rings. The rings attach to the lid. So you have your smaller keycaps in the middle, but the spacing is all the same as the T or the V. And if we take our T top, you can see it lines right up. So if you wanted the T with rings, you would get the U. If you wanted the T with a plastic build, you would get the V. Next we have our M. This is the compact premium metal. We take our T layout. It fits right on top, with this pad having your power and your pass-through port here on the top. And last you have the M Plus with the same layout as the T. This pad having your power and pass-through port across the top and your premium metal build on top and bottom. And that would be all the pads in the T family. The T, the V, the U, the M, and the M Plus. Next we have the C series versus all the controllers with rings. With the C, you can play with the top on and it'll be a flat style layout. You can take the top off and you have your rings going around each button here, making it a ring style controller. When you compare this to the R, they are very similar. This up button being slightly higher and the edge buttons here being slightly wider, and you have your left pinky here, both giving you a full size pad and your rings being roughly twice as thick going around each keycap. These having 20mm keycaps and these having your 23s, and they both have the 25s in the bottom. When you compare to the U is very similar to the R. They both have the small keycaps, the rings going around each keycap with the wider spacing just like the T, a plastic base, and you can easily unscrew and change your artwork on the fly. Last, you have your X Series LP edition. These are MX switches, not the Kailh switches you will find on these controllers here, but the same size keycaps, the 20mm and the one large 25 here on the bottom. With the R and the U having one power port and pass-through port on the top and the side, the C and the X sharing a similar home row with the activation buttons to turn your lights on and off and your home row tournament switch included, both having a power port on the left and your lock port on the top, and their pass-through port on the right-hand side. So if you're looking for a controller with rings, you have your R with the left pinky, you have your U with the wide spacing, you have your X with the MX switches and the wide base, and you have your C. When you take your artwork off, you can play with the pad just like this as well. This pad comes with the Kailh low profile V2 switches. If you prefer MX switches, here are your options. You have your G. This is your small compact form factor just like the S. You have your two power ports and your one pass-through port on the side with the small keycaps going across the body and one large here on the bottom. This pad is acrylic, so you can change the artwork on the top and the bottom. And if you play on your lap, you can order a cheap box footsie, take the bottom off, install the extender, and now you have a full-size pad just like the C. If you prefer the keyboard style, you would look at the B. This pad is very compact, giving you your keyboard and your MX switches, while also allowing you to play standard leverless with your buttons down here on the bottom, with your power port on the side and your pass-through port on the top. And if you want to make this a full-size pad, you can get a cheap box footsie, and it'll be nice and wide like a regular pad, but slightly shorter and still compact. Last, we have the X Series. This pad offers various setups with different modules you can order. If you order the MX edition, it comes with the MX switches and the rings, your smaller keycaps, and your large here on the bottom. You can order the keyboard adapter here, just like this pad here. You can order a joystick and Joy-Cons to play on all your games using MX or the standard Kailh low profile switches on the LP edition. So that's the C16 versus the B, the E, the G, the M, the M-Lite, the M Plus, the M Ultra, the P, the R, the S, the T, the U, the V, and the X Series. And the C16 giving that large full-size base, just like you will find in all the pads in the T family, but the tighter spacing and small keycaps across the whole body with one large here on the bottom. The spacing is ever so slightly wider than the S, but you're gonna feel right at home on this pad if you prefer the S style of play. And you get your full-size base, so it's easy to put on your desk or your lap. And if you prefer the Southpaw mirrored layout, you have your directionals on the right-hand side and your buttons on the left. You would look at the E16. This pad here gives you your rings for really nice bright colors. It is a full-side width like your larger pads, but it's not as tall. And I hope this helped anyone on the fence figure out which pad is right for them and which family they should consider when they're looking at these pads. You have your S family that comes in different shapes, sizes, and materials, all with the small buttons across the whole body, the tighter spacing, and your one large here on the bottom. You have your T family with all large buttons across the whole body and wider spacing. You have your ring styled pads. You have your MX style pads, you have your Southpaw layout pads, and you have your modular X series where you can swap in and out all the different styles with your joystick and your Joy-Cons as options as well. I hope that helps anyone on the fence make the best decision for them. And remember, when it comes to all these pads, there is no best. It's what works best for you and your hands and your playstyle. And I really hope this helps anyone on the fence figure out what works best for them. Thanks for watching.